Happy Monday, everyone. Angie here. And I hear the 6:30 bell chiming, so it is time for yoga. Thanks for joining me tonight. And if you're wondering about our props that we might be using, you could have a block if you typically use a block. Then have one handy. If lunging, especially low lunges where we have one knee on the ground, gives you any, trouble, then you can always have, one block under each hand just to give you a little more height, a little more space in that lunge. Because we're going to be doing a little pulsing lunge later on here in just a few. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I am sitting on the edge of a blanket, and so that's another prop that you might use. It's also nice to have a blanket when we do some of the lunging. And so if you have any sensitivity through your knees, especially, or maybe you're practicing on a pretty hard surface, then grab a blanket too. So let's begin. Namaste. So we'll just begin in a comfortable sitting pose. You can have the hips elevated a little bit like mine are, with a blanket or just sitting on the ground. You also have the option of lying down for this sort of opening part, because we're just really getting into a pose that brings us this sense of grounding and allows us to sort of shift gears into a more intentional, more aware, more mindful space. And that's going to do a couple of things. For one, it's going to help us release some of the stress that we've built up. And number two, it's going to help us remain injury-free, because if we're paying attention or being really mindful of the body and where our edge is in each pose that we're practicing, that's going to be a lot safer way for us to practice. So let's come into a comfortable sitting or lying position. And you could close your eyes here, or you could send the gaze down the tip of the nose, roll the shoulders open, and then let them relax. Sometimes it helps to turn the palms and face them upward, just to give the shoulders a little more release, a little more relaxation. And then just sitting up nice and tall. We sort of root down through the sits bones. We feel the weight of the body evenly distribute between both sides. And then that rootedness through the sits bones helps us then to kind of reach back up from the ground through the midline of the body where your spine lives, creating space in between the vertebra of the spine, bringing your pelvic bowl into a nice neutral position in the sitting pose, and that's going to give your lower back the most space. The more space we have in the body, the easier it is for the muscles to soften, the easier it is for us to find proper alignment in the body. Feel a slight lift through the sternum. And as soon as it's a really subtle lift, as soon as we do that, that just helps to keep those shoulders rolled open. The head, just like the pelvic bowl, will be resting in a neutral position. And so just finding that good alignment. See if you could connect with each and every breath cycle, noticing your own unique rhythm. Just sitting here for a few more breaths. And then just finally checking in with yourself mentally, noticing where the mind is. Maybe you've worked all day. Maybe you've just been sort of busy. This, for some of us, may be the first time you're sitting down, getting still. So just kind of notice where the mind is, what your starting point is. And see if you can do so without any judgment, just observing. And as always, if an intention comes up for you for your practice, just take these last few breaths, setting that intention for yourself. If you are lying down, now would be a good time to gently roll to your side and come back up to a sitting position so that we all end up in this sitting pose. A little bit of warming practice here. And so take a big breath in. And as you exhale, tuck your chin towards your chest. Releasing through the back of the neck. Inhale, roll your head toward your left side. And then as you exhale, chin back toward your chest. Just nice and slow start here. Inhale, right side. And so if you had your eyes open the whole time, exhale, center. Every time you go to one side, so we're inhaling to the left side, if the eyes are open, you'd be able to look kind of straight out in front of you, not up and not down. And that should help you with positioning of the head. Exhale, center. Inhale to the right. Let's visit each side once more. Exhale, center. And inhale to the left. Exhale, center. Your shoulders relax. And inhale one last time to the right. Just getting that nice lengthening stretch through both sides of the neck. Exhale back to center. Inhale and bring your head back to neutral positioning. We're going to change the crossing of the legs here, since we've been sitting that way for a minute. And we're just going to roll the shoulders back. Do about 5 shoulder rolls back. It's trying to bring some movement, some warming into the shoulders. And then we'll do about 5 shoulder rolls forward. Getting ready for all the planks. And either half chaturanga or full chaturanga, whichever you're practicing. And good. Inhale, lift your shoulders up toward your ears. And as you exhale, let them just drop. Let's do that 4 more times. Inhale. Exhale, drop. 3 more. And 2 more. Last one. From here, we're going to come onto the hands and the knees. So just take your time. Making this transition, if you were using a blanket, just move it out of your way. And then when we find ourselves in this sort of table positioning, our hands and knees, we're going to keep the back flat at first, like mine is. The knees are right underneath the hips. And then we're going to inhale and start to drop the navel as we come into a dog tilt. Extending through the spine, slightly lifting through the sits bones and the crown of the head. And then exhale, pull the navel in as you tuck your chin around through your spine. Back and forth, inhaling dog tilt into cow pose. And exhale, scared cat into that cat tilt. 3 more. And this is a good pulsing sort of warming movement to start with, because we can really sync up the breath with the movement of the body. And that's really what kind of separates yoga from just stretching, just moving. Reach the hips back into that first child's pose. Let the forehead rest on the ground. If that's too much for you, you can always stack your fists. And then child's pose, you always have the option of taking the knees a bit wider if they're sort of in your way and getting in the way of breathing. So just a few more breaths here. Know that you can come Back to child's pose at any point you need to take a rest. Inhale now, hands and knees, curl the toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. And so for this down dog, we're just going to do 3 heel lifts and the inhalation, and as we exhale, we'll lower the heels down. So inhale and lift your heels. Exhale, start reaching the heels down, sending the sits bones towards the wall, back behind you. 2 more times, inhale. And then exhale. Lower, keep the shoulders nice and broad, upper arms externally rotating. 1 more time, inhale. Keep the navel pulled in, exhale, and lower the knees. And again, press the hips back into Balasana, child's pose. As we inhale, lift up onto the fingertips, lift the head and the chest away from the thighs, and walk the hands to your left side. Exhale and fold. Let your head rest on the ground or on your arm. Every inhalation, feel a nice opening stretch to the right side body. 1 more breath here. And start to lift the head. Walk the hands back to center out in front of you, and then on over to your right side. Inhale, and as you exhale, fold, and again, rest your head on the ground or on your arm. Breathing. Every inhalation, we feel that opening stretch to the left side body now. 1 more breath. Lifting up, walking the hands back out in front of you. Coming up to the hands and the knees. We're going to activate through the core a bit. So take that in toward your midline and extend the left leg back behind you. Inhale. Keep your navel hugged in, and as you exhale, hug that left knee toward your head toward your knee. Inhale, extend and reach to the spine. Exhale, rounding. 3 more. Inhale. Reach. Exhale. 2 more. Inhale, extending, getting long. Exhale, curling in. And then last time, inhale, reach, long. Exhale. Curling in. And then from here, come to standing knees. And so here's where you might need your blanket. I'm just going to kind of put mine across my mat. And then that same leg, the left leg, is going to step forward. So here's where I was talking about earlier, because we're going to have our hands down on the ground. We're going to be moving back and forth. A lot of you guys have done this plenty of times with me or other people. So if you need a little extra height, and maybe then the hands on the ground, you could use the hands on blocks on either side of you for these pulses instead. So we inhale, and hands are on the blocks or on the ground, and we're in this deep low lunge. And then as we exhale, we draw the hips back to where we basically have this right hip right over the knee, and we're bringing this left leg toward extension. So it might stay bent a good bit, and that's okay too. We're trying to warm through the hamstrings, and we're not quite warm yet, obviously. So be really careful here. Inhale forward into that low lunge, and then exhale, pulling back. 3 more times. We're going in sets of 5 tonight. Inhale forward. Exhale, gently pulling back to our half pyramid. And again. Exhale, pulling back. So each time you might be able to go a little deeper. 1 more time. Inhale forward in our low lunge and Janiyasana. Exhale, half pyramid pose. And so we're going to hang out in this fold. Now, remember, your hands could be on blocks here, and even if the blocks are too low, your fold might be up here, and that's fine too. The main thing is that we're feeling this opening stretch through the hamstrings on the left side there. Coming back into your low lunge, and then just going to drag that foot back and do a brief little reset by coming into your child's pose for just a couple of breaths. hands and knees. Very same sequence, other sides. This time we're going to sneak this left knee a little closer into the midline. And that'll just make it easier to balance as we inhale and extend this right leg back behind. Exhale, hug the knee, in toward the head toward the knee. And it's almost like your leg is moving in slow motion, moving through a lot of water. We're really controlling these movements. Inhale, reach out. Exhale and round. And that's going to strengthen the core. So we're not using any momentum here, just the strength of your core. One more time. Inhale, reach out. Exhale. Again. And then right knee to the mat. We'll come to standing knee so we can step the right foot forward. And again, you might have a blanket under that left knee, and that's fine. We're going to do 5 of our low lunge and then half pyramid pulses here. So inhale, hands are either on the mat or on your blocks, and as we exhale, we just gently pull back, bringing the right leg toward extension. It might still be bent a good bit. If you're pretty flexible in your hamstrings, you're going to want to watch out for locking this right knee. So let's do 4 more. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. So even if the leg is extending all the way, we're not locking the knee. We're keeping that micro bend in the right knee. Inhale, forward for 3. And exhale, reaching back. 2 more. Inhale. Just kind of walking the hands to where you can support yourself. And then on this last one, we inhale forward. And we exhale back into our half pyramid. We'll hang out here for a few breaths. So it's just a nice little warming pulse. But you can also practice this series kind of after, sun salutes, when you're even warmer and you're moving toward learning splits, your yoga splits, Anamasana. So then coming back into your low lunge. And from here, lift that back knee. We're going to step back into plank and do a baby vinyasa here. Keep that navel pulled in. Inhale, shifting forward on your toes. Exhale, lower the knees. Hug the elbows in as you lower with control to the belly. Slide your hands in face level. And then hug the elbows in. Shoulders roll over. We're going to do 5 cobra pulses here. 5 Bhujangasana pulses. Inhale. And it's like you're sort of doing an abdominal crunch into the ground, and that lifts the body. It also protects the lower back. Exhale, lower down. Notice I'm not, forcing myself up with the arms extended. That's not cobra. All right, and lower down. Again for 3, inhale, up, exhale, and lower. Some of us, we might be coming up right here. And that's fine too. That's still a back bend. Wherever you are, 1 more. And exhale. Slide the hands chest level. Inhale, coming onto your hands and knees. Curl your toes under. Exhale and find that downward facing dog. So from now on, as we come into our sort of standing practice, our standing sequences, you can use that sort of baby vinyasa, beginner vinyasa the whole time, or you can maybe take it up a notch and do your full vinyasa. Full vinyasa, inhale, plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up dog or cobra. So that's your full vinyasa. No knees to the ground, basically. So wherever you are, start walking your feet up towards the top of the mat. We're going to end up in a forward fold at the top of the mat. And I'm going to move the camera so we can get more of our standing sequence ready. So bear with me. If you're still in your forward fold, and you can have your knees bent, and that's fine. I think that should do it. Nope. Almost. I'm getting the hang of this. That should do it. So from your forward fold, bend your knees deeply, and then keep the knees bent, upper body's draping over the legs, tuck the chin, and very slowly roll your way up to standing. Once you come up, bring the hands together at your heart center. Just a little bit. And then this is another opportunity, just like we did sitting. This is an opportunity for us to get grounded, but in this standing pose. Grounded in our standing pose. All right, so rooting down through all four corners of each foot. Feeling your tailbone drop down as you lift your lower abdominal muscles up. And then from here, coming into a half salute, inhale, reaching your arms out and up. Look up as the palms touch, and as you exhale, folding over the legs. Inhale up partway, flatten your back. Either fingertips on the ground, or maybe your hands on the fronts of your shins. That's fine too. Exhale into your fold. Let your head hang. Inhale, slight bend to the knees. Activate the core as the arms reach out and bring you up, looking up as the palms touch. Exhale, hands come to rest at the chest. Let's do that again. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, fold. Inhale up partway, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms out wide, coming up. Exhale, hands come to rest at the chest. I'm going to step up to the top of the mat, so come with me if you're not there already. Full salute now. Inhale, reaching out and up, creating some heat in our practice here. Exhale, folding. Inhale up partway, flat back, core activated. Exhale and fold. Stepping or hopping back into plank, shifting forward on the toes. Exhale, either lower the knees or full chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. So vinyasa, that transition, that flow, is when we can start making those decisions based on our own practice, based on where our edge is. Walking, stepping, or hopping the feet. To the top of the mat, coming up partway, flatten the back here. Inhale, exhale, fold. Inhale, sweeping the arms out wide, coming up. Exhale, hands come to rest at the chest. Okay? So we're going to do another half salute. This one's going to have a twist in it. Grab your block. I like doing this one, even though I can put my hand on the ground, it feels so much better to put my hand on the block here. So I highly recommend using it. Put the block in front of your right foot. Feet are hip width apart. Hands are at the chest. Inhale, reaching out and up, looking up. Exhale, fold. Inhale up partway, flatten the back. Exhale, fold. Place that right hand on top of the block, then the right knee. And on the next exhalation, twist toward your left side. Left arm, if it's available to you, you could reach that arm up. You might even look beyond the fingertips of that lifted left hand. And then on the next exhalation, lowering the arm back down. We're going to pick that block up, put it on the left side. Left hand on the block, left knee is bent. Right leg is extended without locking the knee. And as we exhale, we twist to this right side. And again, you could be looking down if your neck is tender, maybe out toward your right side, or even looking up beyond the fingers of that lifted right hand. One more breath. Exhale, flip the arm down. Move your block out of the way. Inhale, sweep the arms out wide, coming up. Exhale, hands rest at the chest. We're going to do a little bit with twisting lunges now to sort of mimic that half salute. Inhale, reaching out and up. Exhale, fold. Inhale up partway, flatten the back. Exhale, fold. Hands to the mat. Stepping the right foot back, right knee to the mat. Right hand on the block or on your mat, and then you exhale, twist towards this left side. And so here you might be warmer in your twist to where rather than just reaching straight up, you could start to reach back a little bit, but watch that right shoulder. Make sure you're still pressing through the right hand so you're not sort of leaning and resting in that right shoulder. Big breath in. Exhale, float that arm down. Lifting that back knee, stepping back into plank. Shifting forward, either lowering the knees or full chaturanga. Inhale, just cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Pressing back with the hands like you're trying to straighten your mat out in front of you. 2 more breaths here. On your next exhalation, we're going to lift this right leg, look forward beyond the fingertips, and then step that right foot through. Even if it takes a few steps to do so, you want your right knee above the right ankle. Left hand on the ground, exhale, twisting toward your right side. And again, you might keep that arm straight up from the shoulder or start reaching back. Opening your chest, spiraling it up toward the sky, and then slowly coming out of your twist. Lifting that back knee, shifting the weight forward, stepping in, coming up, part way, flatten your back here, inhale, exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms out wide, coming up. Exhale, hands gonna rest at the chest. 1 more half salute. Inhale, feet are hip width apart. Reach the arms out and up. Grab hold of your left wrist with your right hand, and then as you exhale, gently side bend to the right. Inhale, back to center. Grab hold of the right wrist or the left hand, and then exhale, side bend to your left. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, and either place your hands in your lower back area, sacral area, or keep the arms lifted as we cat tilt the hips forward into a standing back bend. Inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, folding. Inhale, up our way, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweeping the arms out and up again. And just repeat that. Side bend as you exhale to the right. Inhale, center, side bend as you exhale to the left. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, hands on the lower back. I'll do that one this time. And then we just sort of press those hips forward into a cat tilt. My knees, if you can see them, are slightly bent. I'm looking up towards the ceiling. Shoulders rolled open. Inhale, back upright. Exhale, palms come to rest at the chest. Make sure you're at the very top of your mat. Inhale, reaching out and up. It's going to be our last salute here. Exhale, folding. Inhale, up partway, flat back. Exhale and fold. Hands to the mat. Step that right foot back again. High lunge, but then the knee comes to the ground. Inhale, reach the arms up. Grab hold of your right wrist with your left hand. And then as you exhale, we're just going to pull gently toward this left side. So you get this really amazing lengthening stretch all the way from the right quads, all up the top of the thigh, all the way into your side body, right side body. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, and then place your right hand behind your right thigh and left arm straight up. Okay? Now, if you go a little bit deeper, then we allow the hips to curl forward into that cat tilt, and we might reach back and look up to make it a bit of a back bend. Again, you might be straight up, and that's fine as well. 1 more breath wherever you are, and then exhale, hands to the mat. 1 last vinyasa, stepping back into plank, shifting forward on the toes, either lower the knees or full chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Same Lunge, other side. Right leg is skyward, inhale. Exhale, step it through. Left knee to the mat. Inhale, bringing chest upright, reaching the arms upright. This time grab hold of your left wrist. And then as you exhale, you're gently pulling toward your right side. So now we get this big lengthening stretch from the left quad all the way up to the left side body to that left armpit. And then back to center. We're going to release this left hand and just let it rest behind that left thigh as you reach the right arm either straight up or we start to press the hips forward into that cat tilt. And we reach back looking up toward the ceiling, more of a back bend, chest directed toward the sky. One more breath wherever you are. And then exhale. Hands to the mat, stepping back. Downward facing dog here. Big breath in. Exhale. Lower the knees. We're going to come into a sitting position, crossing the legs. I'm going to move the camera again one more time. Bear with me. Alas, I have no cameraman. Move it down. So just finding that comfortable sitting position. Legs are crossed. Okay. Perfect. And you could be using your blanket here. Actually, no, don't use your blanket because we're going to do a little pulse before we lie down tonight, actually, in our sitting pose. So sitting up nice and tall. A bunch of you guys have probably done this with me before, but we have our hands on our kneecaps. And we imagine that there's a ball in front of us. And so that we're all on the same page, let's have the right leg crossed in front of the left first. So sitting up nice and tall, inhale. And then as we exhale, we're going to imagine as though either that it's a golf ball, or maybe it's a volleyball, or maybe it's a beach ball, depending on how flexible we are in this fold. But we're going to move that ball with the nose in a sort of snaking, kind of flowing movement. So inhale, we're going to bow the elbows out and move that ball along the ground. And then as we exhale, place the hands together, point the fingers, the index fingers out in front of you as the rest of the fingers clasp, and either just lift the knees, okay, and keep that extension through the back body, don't round through the back body, or we could crisscross both and lift the feet. We're going to do that 4 more times. Inhale. Push the ball in front of you. Exhale. Either just lift the knees or extend the legs. Your choice. Follow your edge. 3 more. Inhale. Exhale. And then 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. These 2, we're not using our momentum, and so we're really making each one of these count. We're only doing 5, but we're making each one count. Big breath in, and as the breath flows out, we're going to come into a forward fold. So just making sure we're hinging from the hips. We're not rounding through the back to go deeper into the fold. So instead of thinking about putting your head down to the ground, think about directing the chest downward toward the ground over time. 2 more breaths wherever you are. And then use your hands to walk yourself back upright. Now we're going to change the crossing of the legs. So now we have that left leg in front of the right. Same thing, those 5 pulses, pushing the ball and then coming into your Navasana pose, that boat pose. So hands on the kneecaps. Inhale, push that ball away from you. And then as you exhale, reach out and either just lift the knees, activating the core here, or lifting the legs completely. Core is activated. 4 more. Inhale, push, exhale. Good. 3 more. Push, exhale. And only 2 more. Take your time. Inhale, Roll the ball. Exhale. Last one. Inhale, roll that ball. Exhale. And extend. And then sitting up nice and tall, you can even have your hands kind of beside you to help you extend as much as you can. That's just going to make it easier to come into your forward fold in a safe way. So 3 more breaths here. Last breath. And slowly bringing yourself back upright. All right, so we're going to come onto the back body. We should be ready to recline by this point, hopefully. So doing just that, rolling onto the back, hugging the knees into the chest, rocking side to side here. Breathing deeply. Let the crown of the, or let the back of the skull just rest on the ground. Even though the shoulders are probably lifted away from the ground because we are hugging onto the knees, we're just letting them sort of hang there rather than holding them in a rigid way. And then we're going to get a little deeper into the hips. So take both feet down to the ground. We're going to cross this left outer ankle over the top of that right thigh, close to the knee. And just let your arms rest by your sides. We're going to sort of rock side to side here, lower body, just rocking side to side. This is going to facilitate a sort of master release through the lower back, through the abdomen, just softening there. And then coming back to center to place of stillness, we're going to take this left arm, reach it through the legs, and some of us are going to be clasping behind the thighs, or behind the right thigh. If you're a little more flexible, you'll clasp in front of your right shin, okay? You should feel this as you pull that right knee closer and closer in toward the torso. You'll feel this opening stretch through your left hip. Breathing here, 2 more breaths. And then release. We're going to keep the legs crossed like they are, but put that right foot back onto the ground. Extend the legs out by your sides. We're going to take a twist here. And so big breath in. As the breath goes out, take your hips to your right side. Now notice my left shoulder is still on the ground, and I want to try to keep it in contact with the ground to the best of my ability. You might keep this hands free, or you could use your right hand to essentially grab hold of the inner left ankle, and that's going to more firmly put the sole of the foot on the ground. You'll be able to see more with that footstool when I come to the other side if you've never done this one before. Relaxing through both hips. Take 1 more breath. And then slowly start to come back to center and crossing the legs. Now the right foot, that outer ankle, is going to cross over the top of the left thigh. And just at first rocking, side to side. Again, softening to the lower back, the abdomen. Slowing everything down. And then coming back to center. Right arm's going to reach the legs. Either grab behind that left thigh, which is a nice stretch in and of itself, or maybe you're a little more flexible here and you can grab hold of the front of the left shin, pulling that left knee in, opening to the right hip. And that stretch, and reach down into the glutes on the right side. 1 more breath. And release. That left foot comes down to the ground. Arms extended out by your sides. Inhale, and as you exhale, take that right leg across the body. And as you can see, you can put your foot on the ground here. You could hold on to your ankle with your left hand. And then just softening through the hips, keeping that right shoulder grounded. Breathe. Twists are really good to practice at night when we're winding down. And a nice stretch so that we can hopefully get better rest, feel better in our bodies. It's also important when you're sleeping to be mindful of your alignment. Think about it. You want to try to at least fall asleep in an aligned way, a supported way, to where your neck, your cervical spine, and your lumbar spine, lower back are supported, because we spend a lot of time sleeping. So we don't want to sleep in a way that's going to make us regret it in the morning, feel sore. So slowly coming back to center. Now, grab whatever you need to make yourself comfortable for Shavasana. I'm going to sit up so that I can sort of talk us through a little relaxation script. But otherwise, finding a comfortable sitting or comfortable reclined pose rather. And if you needed to put a blanket or a bolster under the knees to support the lower back, you could do that. If you need a pillow under your head to support your neck, you can do that. It's all about being comfortable and finding that comfort while the body is in alignment. So whatever positioning, maybe your arms are out really wide as you lie down, or maybe they're a lot closer in toward the body. Make sure, to the best of your ability, one side of the body is mirroring the other. Think about placing the body in as close to symmetry as you can. The weight is evenly distributed between both sides. Shoulders are relaxed. Maybe the palms are facing the ceiling to help facilitate that relaxation. Each and every breath is just happening on its own. With every inhalation, maybe feel the body getting more spacious, getting longer. With every exhalation, feel the body softening, becoming more relaxed. Inhale, extend, creating space. Exhale, release. Every time the mind starts to wander, bring your attention back to this breathing, visualizing sort of exercise. Let it help bring you back to a more present place, a more mindful place. The more we can practice mindfulness and be mindful, the less stress we hold on to, the less likely we are to react in a really intense way that could result in consequences. The more mindful we can be, the more we can engage in mindfulness practice, the better we're able to respond rather than to react. And that's the practice we take with us off of our yoga mats and into the world. Make sure with each breath you take that there's a little bit of movement in the navel area, so that every time you inhale, the navel reaches out just slightly. Every time you exhale, it draws back inward. When we do that, we're engaging in belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing, and that is just a really sort of simple way that we can practice relaxing, decompressing, not only through the physical body, but mentally. Yoga, especially Shavasana, is a good way that we can recharge and sort of let go of all the unpleasant things that might have happened, or maybe stressful things that happened during the day. And recharge and make space for a new day, for a new experience. Now, since we're practicing on our own virtually here, but together at the same time, if you would like to extend your Shavasana, then do that. Just ignore everything else I'm about to say as I start bringing folks up and back to sitting to close. So ignore me if you want to continue in Shavasana. You can come out just whenever you're ready later. But for everyone else, we're going to start a really slow and mindful transition onto the side of your body. So maybe wiggle around, stretch a little bit, and recline position. When you're ready, then shift onto your right side. Hang out there for a few breaths. And then when you're ready from there, come back up to a sitting position. Whatever sitting pose works for you. And just like we've been doing all night, find your alignment in that sitting pose. The palms of the hands come together. And I thank you guys so much for joining me on this Monday night. This is one of the best ways to start the week off, to start on the right foot in a mindful way, in a way that's really honoring our self-care. If we don't do it for ourselves, nobody's going to do it for us. So thanks for joining. I'll be back here next Monday night at 6:30. And this video should stay on maybe for a couple of days if you want to suggest it to a friend, or maybe just do this session again. Namaste. All right, guys. Have a wonderful evening.